Yep. Might be a little too loud. What's going on, YouTube? Can you see me? Can you see me? Is this good? Oh, no. Might be a little too loud. What's going on, YouTube? Can you see me? Can you see me? Oh, I didn't plug mine. Sorry about that. All right, this should be fixed now. Jeez, this is terrible.
Nothing. Just sitting here, ready when you are.
I sent you an email.
Oh, I know. That's why you're calling me, is because I'm sitting here waiting to attend a meeting that you're
I
not
sent you an email.
attending. Oh, I know.
Oh, you started a meeting?
That's why you're calling. No, I said, oh, this is I'm joining a meeting that you sent out forever ago.
Oh, you started a meeting?
No, I said,
I gotta turn that shit off.
webinar registration.
Oh yeah, it's probably. Hold on, I gotta add you as a host. You gotta sign up for Zoom, man. Hold on a sec. What was that? Yeah, you didn't, because I tried to add you and it said that you weren't in there. Hey, what up, YouTube? We're just trying to get all this admin stuff set up. You know, this is just a little bit of behind the scenes. I don't know if anyone's registered for this webinar yet.
Now I'm just joining yours, and I'll have to sign up later.
All right, I'm broadcasting this on YouTube right now.
I'm disconnecting your phone.
Okay. Promote the panelists. You should be on now. All right, cool. Say something. Make host.
How's that sound?
Sounds good. All right, you're good.
Nice. Got this microphone, and I got this microphone so that I can do interviews and not have to move this back and forth.
Yeah, that's a good one. I got that that wireless mic too. It works really, really well.
Yeah, I finally paired it and seems to be working. So, but for now I have the little shirt microphone hooked up. I also might have to ditch out halfway through this and go get some silicone lubricant for this chair so that discontinues. We'll close this up.
No, man, it just adds to the allure.
I think I'm alluring enough. Sorry, you just lost 8 viewers.
I don't have any viewers yet.
We're just viewing for our own viewing pleasure.
You know, it's funny. You know, I launched this channel like 3 days ago.
Oh, okay.
3 or 4 days ago. I got 3 videos on it. You know, I said I'd be making one every day, but I'm working on it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But I already got 6 subscribers. Like,
wow.
Yeah. So,
I'm totally jealous.
I ran some ads on the second video. So I ran it on what did I do? I did like suggested videos. So like when you're watching a video, it's like in the top right hand corner.
Yep.
Like not on the full screen. Like it's not intrusive. It's not, you know what I mean? It's just like, hey, you might be interested in this. Click on it.
Okay. Oh, you ran a YouTube ad with your YouTube published video. Nice.
Yeah, I ran a YouTube ad. You know, it cost me like $50 for like 150 views. So the cost wasn't there, but it wasn't too finely targeted. So like I got screwed because when I first started running them, it wasn't working because I put copyrighted text in the call out. So they wouldn't run. And so I didn't realize that, and I'm sitting there adjusting the bid and stuff like that, so that like trying to figure it out. But yeah, it seems like So the pre-roll stuff is really cheap, like extremely cheap, right? But that's like intrusive, and it works if like your stuff is on message, but if you're trying to attract a new audience, like it's starting off like kind of in the negative.
It's not framed right. It's not right. Intent-based marketing. It's interrupted marketing.
So what I'm doing is I'm doing the search, the search type of ads. I don't know what the fuck they're called. I'll show you in a bit.
Okay.
Search-based ads, and they're a little bit more expensive, but they're more like catered. You know what I mean? So like mine was extremely specific. It was like how to launch a WordPress site. You know what I mean? Like really.
Yeah, and then and you paid a lot for it for the 150 views, but every single one of those people were somebody who actively sought your video out.
Right. And now RDS Marketing can send them ads on Google.
Because so YouTube and Google, obviously they're linked, but that's how they're linked is because YouTube is the audience. It's the one that holds the audience.
Right.
So it contains the audience like Facebook contains an audience, whereas Google doesn't contain an audience.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it.
So you build your audience using YouTube, and then you take that audience over to Google and advertise to them.
Yeah, because that audience is already, if you linked it all together in the beginning, which you should because you're running the ads, that audience is already there. You know what I mean? Like you just have to like do some clicks to actually make it targetable. But it's already there. Yeah, I mean, YouTube even shows you like create an audience. You know what I mean? Like this is what you're doing. But what I notice is a lot of people like, I think I don't know if it's most people, but a lot of people like just don't believe in paying for stuff. So
every ad that I want to run, like once and I got to start, we need to start doing this too quickly. Like remember what I was talking about is ideally, we do want to do funneled advertising, where we create the audience and then we speak specific messages to them so that they are more receptive to us asking for a purchase or a call to action, but we also have to be working on those ads that are just to general audience and have a call to action. Right. Because A, we need to be doing that, and B, our customers are going to demand that in the beginning because they aren't going to understand this, and they're not going to be, unless they understand it, they're not going to be willing to pay for 3 months in a row before we even try to get them results.
Well, Frank Kern in his IBB method talks about, he talks about like educating your customer, like while they're in the discovery phase.
Yes. And that's why I was bringing this up. I 100% agree. Like we need to be directly, subliminally messaging that everything is about how much are you willing to pay for a customer?
Right.
Like I have customers for sale.
Well, that's exactly it.
I have customers for sale.
Like I think people are like a little, I'm kind of the same way. They're a little too caught up in the hype of like buying customers and stuff like that. Like,
okay.
I get the sales part of it, but I think we're trying to attract branding customers. You know what I mean?
I get you. I mean, that would be all of the other services other than directly advertising. Like building an audience is more for branding. No.
Right.
Yes and no. I mean, that has dual value, whereas having a website isn't about selling your product, it's about branding.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the customer. You know what I mean? Like ultimately, what the client wants. But I think, like especially for our purposes, there's a lot. it eliminates the right now mentality. You know what I mean? And the having to prove something.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, and honestly, like I don't know if that's the best way to start. As like I know you can, it's one way, but I don't know if it's the best way to start a relationship. Like having to have proven yourself. You know what I mean?
No, you're right. That's not the way we build relationships on a human to human basis, you know? I mean, we do
Right.
because we make statements and then we have to, hey, I'm going to call you at this afternoon. Let's do a Zoom meeting. And if I ghost on you, you're not gonna, so we are making deals and upholding little commitments, but it's a lot different than, hey, I'm gonna bring you 10 leads in a month and you're gonna make $10,000.
Right.
That's a lot of commitment for a brand new relationship.
Yeah, it's funny. I can't remember where I was talking about it, but I think like I just posted how I was getting leads for like a quarter or something, like 50 cents or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Dude inboxed me and they were like, "Hey man, can you get me leads like for that much?"
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
Yeah.
No, dude. And I'm not gonna tell you I can. Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean?
Well, and that's why I agree. It is about it's about selling, about buying leads and buying customers essentially, but it also has to be set up with correct expectations. Like, and in reality, any business that sells something, if they're any good at it, if they can lose $10 but gain a new customer, that's a good deal, because they should have either a way to repeat business with that customer, or they need to have a good referral. They're doing a good job and they just know that they get 2 referrals with every new customer.
Right. And that's why I think so. I think that first of all, I think there needs to be like a lot more structure introduced to this community, because there isn't any at all. And so for us,
100% agree.
Yeah,
like that's why. Go ahead.
So yeah, like we need to make a strong like a strong dividing line between like small businesses and entrepreneurs. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like people who understand and like know business, and people who are like trying to be successful. Like I think that's
exactly it, dude. Yeah, you nailed it. We just need to decide, are we dealing to are we, that's intent-based marketing anyways. Are we talking to this, knowing your audience? Are we talking to this kind of person, or are we talking to this kind of person?
Right, because I notice, and I don't know if it's just because of the audiences that I'm in myself on Facebook. Like I notice a lot of the advertising directed at me is, the stuff to get you excited. Like hot leads, or like run an agency automated, like stupid shit like that.
Yeah.
And I've been taking a look at like my copy and just thinking about it, and I think that like even for how I'm going about it, like to really get that, like I'm not saying we should be going after them, but most small business owners tend to lean toward the right. They tend to be a little bit pragmatic, actually, like extremely pragmatic. You know what I mean? And that type of like conversation just doesn't appeal to them.
You're right,
in my opinion. And I think the ones that it does, you kind of want to watch out for, because there might be some desperation there.
Yeah. Well, so and we're on the subject of small business person here, not the entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur, like, it's easy to distinguish between the two. You go, what's your current cost to acquire a new customer?
Right. Yeah, ask them any business question.
The entrepreneur is going to go, $835.22. And the small business person is going to go, what do you mean?
No, I think it's going to go the other way around.
Really?
I think the small business person understands the price to cut, because a lot of these guys are already doing direct mail. They have advertising budgets. It might not be much, but it's probably $1,000 a month at least. I'm talking about like the brick and mortar people that like have been around for 20 years. They understand the numbers. The people who don't are the people like me. You know what I mean? The people who have been doing business for like a year or two and calling themselves small business owners and acting like they have a business around them because it's really easy to do on the internet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But those are the people who like, they like you're fishing, right? They're the fish that get caught in the net that you don't want.
Yes. Yep. Well, I don't know.
Because here's what I'm saying, like where I'm coming from.
Okay.
Those people are trying to do something.
Oh, I can't deal. I don't have time to deal with anybody who's trying to do anything.
Right.
I can't do it. I'll talk to them. But if they don't identify themselves as one of those people, and I identify them as that first, I'm done.
Right.
I'm going to get another ounce of my time.
It's funny because a lot of the people that follow me and even my audience, and this isn't how I'm targeting it, I think it's just because like people that look like you tend to like and trust you.
Yeah.
It's my audience is 18 to 24, like 18 to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of male.
Yeah.
So
don't worry about that. I mean, that's just the way it is though. You're going to,
my point is that like I can't, like I could, but it's not really going to be effective for me to run ads on my audience.
No.
Unless they're going to tell their dad about me or something. I was analyzing like my clientele, and it's men between the ages of 35 and 55.
Mm-hmm.
And the people those are not the same people who follow me on social media.
No. No, I agree with that. I mean, my followers, I've got a lot of followers on Instagram, and I would assume they're kind of in the same thing. They're going to be more of, well, I don't know. My Lugnut Louie is changing big time. I'm getting followers that are business people with 10,000 followers themselves, 24,000 followers, things like that. But I agree that right now I don't see my followers as where I want to go to.
Exactly. That's my point.
Yeah, not at all. I see them as a group of people that may buy some retail products someday down the road, should I decide to be doing that.
Well, so the way I look at it is these are the people that I'm educating so that either the person they work for or they themselves in a year or two will think of me when they're looking for, when they're already established, and hopefully they'll have been using my content to get them, to where they're going.
Yeah.
Well, that's the way. Yeah. I mean, and that really the only reason otherwise I post stuff on my page is so that like if I am courting a potential client, they can go and see, like when they look me up, that
to me is the 100% reason you and plus then it records and it's going to be there forever, so that somebody can also go back and see you speaking 2 years ago and know that you're still doing the same thing today that you were doing back then, and create consistency and that.
So Gary Vee talks about document, don't create. And like I understand that now, probably like way more than when he first started saying it. So my girlfriend yesterday, she wants to start running ads on Pinterest, and like she hasn't started running the ads, but she started crafting and them target stuff like that. So she does, like, the only thing she used Pinterest for is to find recipes to cook.
Yeah.
And then she would just have Pinterest open when she's cooking. right?
Okay.
She has like 100 reoccurring monthly visitors, like 150.
That's
Like
pretty good.
50 people regularly coming to her, like just a collection of recipes that she made herself. Like she's not advertising it. There's nothing about her on there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
She already has a following on Pinterest. Like it's ridiculous. The point I want to make is that like there are people, and people don't think about this when they're making stuff for themselves, but they're like the reason you want to put your stuff on the internet, even if it's just for yourself, is that other people are going to find it.
Yes.
Like that's how crazy it is. You just do it for your own note taking, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
and that becomes your claim to fame.
I mean, that's what I learned in doing this video that we're going to go shoot tomorrow. Was I was trying to script a story about something, you'll see it. But instead of scripting it, I needed to just ask the questions and let the story play out.
Right.
So it is more of a documenting than a creating. I was trying to create the story by just talking to the camera, and then I got done looking at it, and I was like, I mean, if I'm bored looking at my self-talks, think how other people are going to feel.
Right.
And but we also got some questions on film, and we were like, well, that's gold right there. It's a question and a sincere answer that displays an emotion, and that emotion is what I was trying to capture anyways.
So,
sorry, a little off tangent, but I liked what you said about the documenting, not. I think
this is good, man. This is where the best content comes from. Is like, in my opinion, I don't like when people have an agenda. You know what I mean? Especially for like, it's different if you're making like a lot like a movie or something. It makes sense. Like if you have a story you're trying to tell, but I think for like, especially for social media, it's easier to like have an intention and then like operate like use the questions around that intention. But like when you try to, in my opinion, when you try to script things, it becomes like you put yourself inside a box. You know what I mean? Like your frame of reference is extremely structured. So like most conversations happen through like spontaneity, and like they get more creative. You know what I mean?
Yes.
If it's a good conversation, and you can't do that with a script.
No.
That's why I think, they talk about selling. Like, I think a lot of people, you look on YouTube, like how to sell, right? And they'll all say, you need a script. Like, you got to be reading your script, man. How many times have you recited your script, like in front of the mirror? Like,
well, I'm going to agree with that and disagree with it. I mean, you got to learn the script, because the script trains your mind on the events that need to take place in an order, because those events create an understanding between you and the client. But I mean, Andy sums it up the best. It's that selling has to be, it's an alignment of interests.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be. I can sell without aligning the interests, but then you're going to go back and you have not even a 50-50 chance of being a happy customer.
Well, I mean, a successful sale. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
a successful sale breeds more sales and grows your business independently of the profit that you made on that one little sale. Because the successful sale creates more sales, because it creates an experience that's beneficial to the customer. And when the customer benefits, in addition to obviously the developer benefiting, when the customer benefits, they share the story and they come back for more, and they're happy. They buy more themselves and they tell other people to buy. And there's nothing more powerful than that. And if you have to sell your product without making sure that the need is there, then you're in a tough position as a salesperson. Like I hated selling insurance.
Yo, dude, that was the worst. That was the worst.
I loved selling it when it was needed, but I didn't even try to sell it when they wanted me to convince them that they needed insurance. It's like,
Life
whoa.
insurance.
Yeah, life insurance is tough, but I mean, I'm a huge believer in the product.
I'm a believer in life insurance too, but it's different when you're, I was trying to sell to my peers, like, they don't
Yes.
have-
Oh, it's the worst. You can't,
like,
how
you gotta
can
sell
you?
it to someone with something to lose, like life
Yeah.
insurance,
Well, it's a product designed for a reason, and when that reason is there, it's a great product. But man, if it's not there,
yeah,
you're
not to go off on a tangent about life insurance. Personally, I like the hybrid that mixed with was it universal and whole life, like hybrid. That's a real good option.
Yeah.
I should definitely look that up. Most plans don't offer that. If they do, they're not going to talk to you about it because it is so good. But the thing about life insurance is, like, you can't target the dude who you're trying to get a policy written on. Like, you got to target his wife or like his kids or some shit like that.
Well, unless it's like a bit, and I mean, there's a lot of good business reasons to own life insurance for business purposes.
Yeah.
And then it's a no-brainer. Like you just explain it, but once again, it's like when you explain something and you're doing a good job explaining it, and they don't get it. I mean, it's time to just pack it up.
And they're sitting in your office and they're just looking at you.
Yeah, they're like, they gotta see the value for it themselves, and that's when you're aligning the interests. You're saying, hey, all I can do is tell you the reasons why you should have this, why you shouldn't have it, and which one would suit you the best.
Have you read this is another Napoleon Hill book, How to Sell Your Way Through Life?
No, I haven't.
Dude, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. And I can probably guarantee you that anybody who's like studied sales or written a handbook on sales is basing it off of this book.
Okay.
Just how everybody who's into personal development are basing it off of Think and Grow Rich.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, that dude, he was spot on with a lot of things. But he talks about how people use a script, and what he's saying is, I talked about this with you before, like neutralize the prospect's mind. And there's various ways in which you can neutralize the prospect's mind, and you can use a script to neutralize the prospect's mind. But most people, especially if they're not like learning sales from an actual salesperson that like has successfully sold, they're learning how to counter. You know what I mean? Like that's what they're learning. Like how to
overcome objectives. It's overcome objectives or objections.
That okay, but that makes it
like war.
Right. Yeah. Like, right. I was, couldn't find the word. Confrontational. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think it was Dan Kennedy, or John Carlton, one of those guys posted it was a long time ago at their conference. And he was saying that sales is naturally confrontational. Like if you're making somebody, like first of all, you're making them uncomfortable, like by offering a solution to a problem they have. Now they're uncomfortable because they now know there's a solution out there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So
yep.
There is a lost cost to not taking the solution, but so that right there, just in that moment,
that creates confrontation.
Right. And then you have to not to mention like the things that their wife might say or stuff like that. And like, I can't sum it up as well as he did, but I never saw it like that. Like it never really made sense to me, but I understand it now. And that's why, like Napoleon Hill says, once the confrontation is made, then you need to neutralize the prospect's mind.
So here's how I did that in roofing sales. And I realized, because I do have a written out script, and it's not a script, it's an outline of the order that I'm going to talk about things. Right. That's all it is.
Just like the story brand where you walk them through the process.
Yep. So after the chit chat, it goes into, and I think this is the same for every sales plan or sales process. You want to reiterate the why am I here? Like even though it's like, hey, I know I'm here because I knocked on your door and asked if I could look at the roof. Okay. I know that's why I'm here, but let's talk about why you let me in.
Right.
After I ask, why am I here? And they're going to go, well, because we know that we need a new roof. This and this. We know that. So then it'll go, well, it doesn't look like you need a new roof. It looks pretty brand new. Tell me what's going on here. And then they'll be like, oh, well, you know, but it's been leaking here and here, and we found out that it's defective. Or they'll be like, well, you know, a storm hit, and then you can be like, da, 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 da. So after that, you know, then I go into, so what do you hope to accomplish by us meeting here today? You know, are you just price? So I can learn what they're trying to do. Are you guys price shopping? Am I the first one in the door? Am I the last one in the door? Blah, 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 blah. But, you know, learn what they want to do. Oh, we want to figure out how to get a roof. And then I'm going to ask them, so when you make your decision about who you're going to buy from, what is the most important factor, or what are the important factors when purchasing a roof? And that's kind of a setup question, because I know the answer. For most people, it's going to be, well, we want to get a good roof, good quality job done for a cheap price. You know, blah, 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 the age old thing. And that's what sets me up to actually do the neutralize the prospect, is that letting them answer that question. And then I can say, hey, you know, I'm never the cheapest guy, but it is important. I agree with you. It's very important to me as a company to do good work and to do it for a fair price. And then I talk about fair price, and I tell them, this is what a fair price is for your roof. And it's a wide range, because there's a wide range of companies that are capable of doing a good job on your roof. Anywhere from a small guy with a couple of guys on his crew, all the way up to a huge company that does great work and has hundreds of employees. They all have to charge different numbers. So a fair price for your roof is going to have a 40% swing. It's going to be anywhere from $250 a square to $350 a square. And I'm going to be in the middle towards the high end. But that's not the most important thing to me.
Well, I mean, who price shops on a roof?
Here, but this is the cool part, I just realized that this was the neutralization part too. Is that I say that's not the important, and this is where I align our interests and then neutralize them. And they get me there, they finally start to trust me. Like, but those things are important to me, but that's not the most important thing to me. The most important thing here is the safety of your family while I'm doing this work, the safety of your neighborhood and your neighbors while I'm doing this work, and the safety of my workers while we're doing this work. And then they're like, holy shit, you know, now I can trust this guy because he's actually thinking about stuff nobody ever even talked about.
Right. Yeah, I noticed if you look at a lot of direct mail, they'll talk about how, you know, they're rated the number one safe, you know, or whatever. A lot of big companies talk about safety, and you know, you would think it's. I'm not saying this is you, but you would think that like it's for like it's an internal thing, but no, it's mostly because safety is it's a good consumer word, you know, and especially during a sale, if you just even mention the word safety.
Well, it's a dual. It's like I want to make it presented as a bigger deal to them. It is a huge deal for us because I don't need to make money so bad that one of my workers loses his leg because of it. You know. Right,
but it's for you. So this is funny because I worked a lot in like industrial places that like at GE where they go like overboard on safety. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's for you, it's a priority, but it's always a priority. So it's secondhand. You know what I mean?
No, we're always doing it. It's like what you do when you do construction. If you're any good at it, you be safe.
Right. But like it really, so it makes the sales process because you're using that word, like specifically, so family and safety, safe family, roof, safe family, like roof, you know what I mean? Like
doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah. And, you know, it literally like it's part of Maslow's needs. So like, yeah, I do that's why, you know, like you're able to make hundreds of thousands of dollars, like selling roofs.
And but that same line of thinking needs to be adapted on how we approach our prospects. And then it also needs to be adapted in how we approach our prospects. It needs to be adapted so that our prospects understand that when they become a client, we're going to help them approach their prospects in that state of mind as well.
Right. So I think, Frank Kern says that one of the last things you do before you close a client is called the demonstration of power. And I never realized that, like, I like to just, instead of doing things, I like to say what I'm doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that right there is a demonstration of power. Just being able to say what you're doing and why you're doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's enough of that. So, like, if we can
'Cause you're
say,
not
like,
hiding. It's full disclosure.
exactly. So, during the sales process or whatever, if we can just say, hey, this is what we do. We like to use these phrases for the subliminal effect that it has on the prospect's mind. It makes them less antagonistic, less reactive. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think, not saying straight up like why you do it, but it is saying straight up why you do it. But I think there's a way that you can say it that makes it sound better, because a lot of people start thinking, talking about mind and psychology, like, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
They're turned off by the fact that people have an intention and then do things to have that thing take place.
Right, and they see it as manipulation.
They see it as manipulation, and I mean, the fact is that it is, but it's just like the word contract. You never use the word contract, you use the word agreement. Even though it is a fucking contract. Like, yes, I'm manipulating you. Please manipulate me into being a better person. I gladly will take your manipulation.
Yeah, it's like
that's my mindset.
Yeah, it's like when you want to bang a girl, but you don't want to tell her you want to bang her.
Except eventually you probably should tell her.
A lot of times you don't even need
I
to.
really want. And that's what, but it also is when you are saying those words, that it's gonna come true at that point.
Right.
That's the display of power right there.
But I think, I don't want to go too much further into this, but there's a way to, like, you don't just go up to a girl and say, hey, I want to bang you.
Yeah.
But eventually in conversation, it may come up. Like, yeah, I think
so how that translates to what we've been talking about here is we're always trying to communicate better to everyone we interact with so that we can all have a better life.
Right.
And in our job, in our business here as digital marketers, for lack of a better term, until I figure out a better thing to call myself, I'm going to call myself that. But it's, we do marketing, which is building sales. I don't even like the word marketing anymore because it's so overused and it's really general.
Well, this is why, let's just stop there, because I wrote about this in the preview or whatever. So Seth Godin goes over the difference between marketing and advertising in he wrote a book called This Is Marketing. It just relates to the thing. So most people are advertising. Like, most people, they're screwing up marketing. They're calling it advertising. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Marketing is more with brand and
branding.
Long-term. Right.
It's so the overall message of how you communicate your value to the community.
Right.
And reach your market.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that, I was talking in the beginning, we want to, personally, I want to avoid the people who are expecting me to advertise for them. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Because, like, it's too, personally, I think that you need to advertise yourself to do it most effectively. You know what I mean? And I think the expectations that a lot of people put on advertising, first of all, they don't see it as an investment. They see it as an expense. And coming from that perspective, an expense and advertising perspective, where, like, within a 30-day time frame, you know what I mean? It's especially with, like, for us, because our contracts are month to month, like, it's too ridiculous. You know what I mean? It caters to short-term behavior. Like people talking, I mentioned the price of leads. People talking about price of leads and being able to get them for like 200 leads for 500 or whatever. It caters to the short-term behavior, to the lack of thinking, the opportunistic person. Like, I don't think that's a clientele that you can build a business on. Or I mean, you could, but not a long-term business on. A lot of people selling these courses. That's a lot of people making these advertisings. It's funny. I think some dude he was trying to get people to pay him $500 so he could sell them clients. Like, it's ridiculous how short-term thinking.
Everybody's taking every little weird idea that possibly can be used as, which is supposed to be one teeny iota of your whole plan to build a business, and they're taking that one little teeny thing and building a whole business off of just that one little thing.
Or at least saying they are. Yeah.
And I mean, I agree with you as far as that you can't be going after the advertising until the time is right. I think a lot of it is just, no, you're not ready for you to pay me because your expectations, like it's literally because your expectations are flawed right now. And
right.
I can't advertise for you. You don't have this in place, but it's also, that's where I'm, and I'm not writing as much as I want to, but I've got my ideas on paper and I'm starting to expand on them. And I'm sick of people say, well, I'm not, the trend out there is to tell people what to do, but they're not telling people how to do it. So like everybody, they say, well, to do this, you have to have this in place, and you have to have this in place, and you have to have this in place. Well, tell me how to do that. How do I get that? Like, that's what you're doing with your websites, is you're just showing people, like, yes, you need a website. Here's how to do it.
RDS.marketing.
Yeah.
It's funny because, so I was just watching an interview with Rachel Hollis and Tom Bilyeu, and she was talking about, like, if you want to know what's going on in a self-help person's world, just read their last book. Like, if you want to see what problems or things they're struggling with, just read their last book. Because like self-help books are really, if they're real, are people writing it for themselves. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think it's because this goes back to like documenting, don't create. Like, it seems like I'm doing this for other people, but no, mostly I'm doing it for myself. You know what I mean? And I think if you operate from that paradigm, especially when it comes to like making content, I think that's the only way to do it and be attractive to other people. Because I think if you're trying to make it for other people, then you're catering to the majority, and that shit is never good.
I like that. I mean, that's the way I feel about all the development I'm personally doing to, produce this business.
Yeah. Like the things that, so, I quit my job in December. And the things I'm doing now that like I'm seeing success with are things that I started learning because I was interested in them. Like, the things I'm building are problems, like things that would help solve my problems. But just so happens that, those other people happen to have those same problems. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I've already solved them, then like I can either do it for you or teach you how to do it.
Okay. And then giving the people, I like what you're doing about how you're setting up. It's like you're setting people up so that they can do it themselves if they want. And there's no bigger way to get people to trust you.
Well, you're
proving that you're trustworthy,
right.
Not just trying to get people to trust you.
My philosophy is, in all honesty, like I don't want any clients. Like I want people to, I think you should have somebody in-house that does this. Like I really think you should, you know what I mean? That knows your brand, that's constantly working on it, that's doing it every day. But
sure.
A lot of people they can't do that. Like, it's too much upkeep or whatever. They're just not there yet. They don't know enough about it to even hire. Like,
it's also that brick and mortar, that fatal mentality of, we got to here and that's right. all we want. And then they're coasting right from there. And they're really, when are you implementing anything to make sure to But there's also this old school mentality overlapping from the day where you just had to go to college and then you got a good job and you had that good job, and by golly, that job is going to take care of you and your family for the rest of your life. And that mentality is this: you got there, and once you get there, it's yours. It's that entitlement. You got there, now it's yours. You're entitled to it, and it's always going to be there.
God forbid someone younger than you, fresh out of college, is going to come in and tell you how to market.
Well, and so that is a fatal mentality, because we all know that everything that works at one point doesn't continue to necessarily keep working. So that's
especially with technology.
Yeah. But even in business without, I mean, it's probably technology related, but a brick and mortar store opens, it's successful from 1970 to 1995. And then all of a sudden sales decline. And by 2002, they're out of business. Right. But yet they had 30 years of success.
You know what I noticed? So you know how
to me, they got lucky.
Right. That's exactly it. Like people put their franchise on a high traffic road. So you like, like, how about you just bring the traffic to you, man? Like,
or just understand that the trend that is making you successful now will, like, do you really want to risk your consistency and your safety on the world being the same tomorrow? Like, no, come on. It's the one thing that we have for sure, is that the world is going to be different tomorrow. So why not always be developing your processes, your plans, your marketing, your advertising, how you make your sales, so that you can adapt when it's necessary. Or lo and behold, if you do that stuff, you can actually grow. But you have to take risks. You have to open a new store. You have to hire more people. You have to, before you can open that other store, you have to hire enough people to be in this store.
Yeah.
And then,
no, I get it, man. I don't think I would have been able to successfully build a business in the 80s or the 70s. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think, like, it's too much manual labor. You know what I mean?
Well, that's why you and I'll be. One of the videos I want to do real soon is I realize I need to do an intro. Like, the biggest thing that distinguishes me from the others in my field is that I'm not always on. I mean, I am always on the computer these days, but I didn't grow up making my business on the computer. I grew up making my business out in the field.
Right.
And now I've decided to come back to the computer and sit here and help other people who are out there do this part, and that's with you. I want to bring you to them.
You can do it more effectively. Like, you can do the outside stuff more effective because it's the same thing on the computer. You can do that more effectively because you've had, like, you understand people, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you understand how to interact with them. And like, the online mentality is not, I have to teach myself this. Like, the online mentality of interacting with people, like just DMing them and saying, hey, like, or like, hey, bro, like, that stuff doesn't work. You know what I mean? And I mean, it might, this is why I talk about, like, you can sell a course to an entrepreneur by DMing them and say, hey, man, what's up? But that's not going to get a client. It's like, it's not,
no,
it's not,
I'm not going to get a realtor by doing that, or a lawyer, or a brick and mortar, or a contractor. These people need, and that's where what I want to bring to this online industry is, you're never going to catch me saying, forget about that networking stuff where you go and meet a bunch of business owners face to face. That's dead. That'll never work anymore. Like, no, that's bullshit. That is still super valuable.
Like, we're saying anything is dead.
Yes. There's, like, why say old school sales behaviors are insulting, but face-to-face sales isn't dead.
No. And, dude, this is where it's like, it's kind of weird, because the content, especially the algorithms and like what the audience is interested in, is they want to see that something is dead. like you know what I mean? They like
Oh
they
yeah,
want.
no, it makes you feel, oh, I knew I was right.
Well, not only that, but they want to know like, hey, something's dead. Like saying something is dead. Like, what's dead? You know what I mean? Like, it's like it's you.
It's
That
like
headline,
gossip.
yeah, that it's completely gossipy, and that headline will attract way more attention than network network marketing events are not dead. Like or like how to properly like network with somebody at a live event. Like
Man
that'll
goes to networking lunch and meets people.
right. Like it's not hypey. There's no excitement around it, you know. And we
Well,
just
that's catering too, because people don't want to, look, the mass of people don't want to work. They don't want to take risks, and they don't want to do any more work than they're going to get paid for. But
right.
those aren't our clients. Like, we have to funnel through all of that and find the people who do want to do more work because they want more out of life.
Yeah.
You can't, if you're not, advertising it is an investment, but it's a long-term game, because a real company is willing to lose money to acquire a new customer, not breaking.
That's why I think it's marketing.
Yeah.
Because when you're thinking about advertising, I don't think that advertisers or people who are starting advertising campaigns are like even thinking, I'm gonna like this is how much I'm willing to spend to get a customer. They're thinking, how much can I spend to get this much back? Like this is how much
return on investment.
Right. And that's like not what we're interested in. Like,
well, because
it's hard to convince someone of that, especially like when you're using direct marketing to try and get them. But these platforms, I'm noticing now, really cater more towards brand, like long-term. This is why Gary Vee says like the quantity of content is way more important than the quality, because like if people are seeing your stuff regularly, then you're going to get in their minds, and like on Facebook, especially running ads on Facebook, like it's hard to do if nobody knows who you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's a lot easier to market to an audience that's already aware of your brand. Well,
I always said the trick to sales is getting somebody to think about you when you're not sitting in front of them.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And then show them that. You know what I mean?
Yep. So
yeah, I mean that's why TV commercials did so good, because like people didn't have a choice; they had to watch them.
I think we're getting to that old dichotomy word here, where it's like if somebody comes to, we have to spread our message, and our message is that we have the tools that can help you grow your business. Not we have the tools that will grow your business.
Right.
Because we have the tools that help you grow your business. You still got to answer the phone when the lead calls in. You still got to pick up the phone to call the prospect and make the sale. Like, you still have to, write some content. You still have to do all these other things. You still have to run the business. Like, it's not just close the business up and have the leads come in. So I think that's a lot of it also is like there's that expectation of like, here's the money, send me a prospect. But it's just, if they don't have all the other pieces of the puzzle to build a brand, then that's not going to work. Or it'll just be really expensive.
Right. Yeah, man. Like,
but it's that dichotomy of when they really, really want the advertising, we have to say, whoa, wait a second, you're not ready to advertise. And then when they don't, but on the other hand, I know that like people, so Skylight Roofing, for example, I personally, I don't like the name Skylight Roofing because it's confusing. I've literally had people ask me, so you guys only do skylights? I'm like, oh, what do I say to that? And then it's like, well, so anyways, if I were to
Skylight
brand,
roofing, not just skylights.
yeah, but so ideally, I would like a better name so that it's easier to brand.
Yeah. I would just add that tagline.
What did you
Skylight
say?
roofing, not just skylights. Like I would just add that tagline.
Not just skylights. Yeah, that's good.
Put it in LLC.
So, anyways, I brought that up because people get really, really emotionally attached to the brand that they've started and began to build, and they get really emotionally because we're all I mean, me too. I mean, I love this logo, you know, but I also know that as soon as it's time to change that logo, we're going to change the logo, you know, like it's not going to be the logo forever. And there's going to be a time where it's advantageous to rebrand. But
it's hard when people see it like their baby or
see it like their baby. Yeah. Like, or,
you know, that's why it's even harder when people put their name on a fucking business, even though I did it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, and then
my own name, like my initials.
Yeah. Well, and then they brand. So they choose this as the name and they brand it and they do all these things to share their business. And then they're successful and they start making money. And it's like, we all do this. We attach what we did to why we're successful now.
Right.
It's like, I am successful because I did this logo. It's like, no, you did the logo and you're successful because you kept talking to people over who said no until they eventually said yes. And then they bought something.
Yeah. You can do that with anything. It's not, I think Jordan Harbinger calls it the sunk cost fallacy. Like they think about what got them there, what they put into it. And they think that's the only thing, you know, that's going to get them forward. And actually, in reality, it's the complete opposite. Like that thing is not going to get you forward. And chances are you're going to start losing money pretty soon because
it's adding things to that while it's still working is what moves you forward. Adding things to it after it wears out, that just keeps you.
Yeah, it's like, you know, you think about how like the Egyptians moved the pyramids. Like off of those fucking like rollers or whatever. Like you move something on you pick it up and then fucking bring it to the front, like the log. You just keep picking it up and bring it to the front as the thing moves forward. Like,
you
got to keep recycling the parts.
You need new rollers.
But people think like I'll be honest, I thought about it like this too. Like I thought it was just a one-trick game. You know, like if you learn SEO, like that's it. Like
you're done. I know SEO.
So I started with Facebook ads because I was told Facebook ads. Like, but dude, you can't build. I mean, you could like supposedly Wish did it, you know, but like somebody like me, you can't just build a business on Facebook. Like, if you don't have any money, you know what I mean. Like, if all you have is the internet, like you're not gonna build. You can try, but you're not gonna. This is my problem with the people that do like Herbalife or the network marketing or whatever. Yeah. They do it on their personal page and, you know, they're DMing everybody that they're friends with and stuff like that. It's like, man, this is why you're not successful. Like I understand what you're doing, you know what I mean? But you're doing it from a face down mentality. Like you're not looking up, you're not looking at the options, you're not looking at what's available. You're just trying to get something.
Well, and avoiding taking every opportunity possible to avoid rejection
and having to work.
Yeah. Which work is getting rejected and then doing it again anyways.
Right.
That's work.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's hard, man. Like,
super hard.
Like, I get it. You know, I might sound like I'm talking shit, but like, I understand the mentality. I only like just recently migrated. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I think it has a lot to do with being successful. Like understanding that Tom Bilyeu says that his mentor said, you know, you're coming to the world with your hand out. Like understanding that. Or Andy says, like you shouldn't just love yourself, like you shouldn't just respect yourself, like you haven't fucking done anything to have value for yourself.
When you're feeling bad about yourself, what have you done to
like there's probably a fucking reason. You know what I mean? You probably haven't done shit.
Yeah, you're supposed to feel like shit if all you've done for the last week is sit there and play video games.
Right. You know, like for me, so I have PTSD and I have like a baseline level of anxiety that's, you know, like outrageous for most people. Like if they had to deal with it, they'd go to a loony bin. But for me, that anxiety and then like the high quality of like my high bar, like some people might think that that's too much, you know what I mean? Like, or like, cause for them it would be, you know? But for me, that's what I need to do in order to have respect for myself. If I'm not hitting my fucking top bar every time, you know what I mean? If I'm not going to failure, like every single time, even if my failure is only one, like if I'm not, or in pushing through failure, you know what I mean? Then I'm not going to respect myself, you know? And so everybody has like a different bar. And I don't think like Gary Vee talks about, like, don't look at what I do. Like everybody has their own thing and you got to go out and find that. But you need to make sure that like, if you're doing that thing, you're not fucking off with it and getting like gratification because people are liking your shit, you know? But it takes a long time. Like it takes a long time. First, you got to even become aware that that's a problem. You know what I mean? And then having the humility to being able to acknowledge it's a problem and solving it. You know, like most people aren't willing to humble themselves that way. Like say, I was wrong. I'm an idiot. Like this is the wrong way to be doing things. You know what I mean?
It hurts. It hurts to say I'm wrong. It like hurts inside the middle of the chest.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's
but it's also invigorating and freeing, like frees your soul.
Right. In the Tao Te Ching, he says that the master wants nothing. You know, like I'm like an idiot. My mind is so empty. Like, you know, the Buddhists say life is suffering. Life is suffering because you have expectations and wants and all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, if you can just learn to always do your best, like it sounds cheesy, but like it's everything. In everything,
you can't do better always, but you can always do your best. It's something. It's an attainable goal.
And people think like, oh, I did my best on this thing. You know what I mean? And it's like, okay, but did you do your best? Like getting ready for it? Did you do your best like when you woke up that morning? Did you do your best when you were like cooking your lunch or your breakfast that like for that morning? Like did you do your best?
Your dishes, are you 100 like when I do my dishes, I'm 100% sure that they're clean and they're still not. You know, once in a while I'm still going to make a mistake, but I did my best. Like I don't ever just go through my dishes. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I think for me, being an employee, that was my biggest pet peeve. My biggest pet peeve.
It's hard out there in the world.
Especially if you're somebody who always does their best, because you get recognized as that, and then you get the extra work you're expected to, you know what I mean? Like,
so you're ready for a real challenge?
Right.
Because that ain't nothing. Wait till you have employees. Because I don't believe if a business is built on employees always doing their best, then you got a horrible business. It's about to tank, and you probably should quit because it's not the way the world works. Like it's okay for other people to not do their best.
Well, that's why, you know, Andy did that one podcast where he's like, you guys got to understand that most people don't think the way you do.
Yeah.
You know, and actually like there's probably out of a room of 100 people, one other person that thinks the way you do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's not wrong. Like,
no, it's wrong. It's not wrong. The world it's okay for people to just have a 9-to-5 job. I mean, I think that's very admirable. I think it's admirable to have kids, you know?
Dude, I think it's admirable to show up to work, in my opinion. Like, you don't have to.
Nope.
You know what I mean? So, and like, there's no one saying that you need to work your absolute, like, unless they fucking write it in the terms when they hire you. No one says you have to work your hardest. You know, you have to operate at 100%. You know, this is my biggest pet peeve with UPS. When I was an employee, they would count. They counted, like, they had the movement that it takes to load a box. They had it broken down into what they called like mules, MUL, like 1,000 different mules added up to a box being loaded.
Oh, so they knew the literal work energy needed to get something done. And they measured you guys by how much work energy you expended.
By the minute. and they would.
So, I mean, I wouldn't want to be one of those people, but I still can't blame a business for trying to create a process that gets people to do their best.
I worked both sides of that line. I was an employee, and then because I was one of the best, I got promoted to supervisor. So I had to turn around and start supervising the guys that I was working right alongside of.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I noticed a lot of them when I first started, they didn't work that fast. I'm like, I didn't understand it, but I got it once I became a supervisor, is they were setting a baseline for their activity. You know what I mean? So that they can never be looked at like, hey, dude, this is how, like, because they're always acting that way.
Yep. No, it's setting the standards of your operation. I did that once with a buddy when we moved into an apartment in a college town, like on the edge of the college town where they're starting to have normal neighbors. We made sure that at 3:00 in the afternoon, we were out sitting on the porch drinking beer every day for 2 weeks straight. Everybody who drove by knew what we were, so that they weren't surprised when they got woke up at 2 a.m.
No, I mean, so like
we still got kicked out though.
Yeah. You know, this is a long way from marketing and stuff like that, but I think that in order to successfully market in any environment, but especially in a digital environment, like, you need to understand all of the moving pieces. Like, you can't just focus on one gear and try to optimize that gear, because it's not like it might work. You might get some results, but the problem is if you get those results, then you think you got the results because you optimized that gear, and you could have just got results because that gear was turned.
Got lucky.
Right. And, you know, the big thing about me, this is why I structure my ad sets the way I do. This is why, like, you know, I do one interest per ad set, like, because I don't want any guesswork. Like, this is why I only target one placement per ad set, because I don't want any guesswork. Like, I want to know exactly. This is why I run 100 different ads at once.
I agree, 100%.
All the variables, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be at least aware of them. And I think most people, like, they don't even understand the game they're playing with. So this is like this doesn't seem like marketing, but it's business 101. It's like, you have to have this mentality. You need to understand, like, how to deal. Otherwise, like, you're not gonna, like, accounting is good. You know what I mean? Like, understanding HR is great, but if you don't understand, like, how to successfully deal with people, like, successfully, like, be a leader and get something out of that relationship, then you're never going to be successful in business. Like, you might have a business, you know what I mean? But you'll be like everybody else on Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
In my
So what's the next step here?
So I made this for every day, but we don't have. It's up to you how often you want to do it. I'm actually
I want to do this every day. I don't know that I can sit here and do an hour and a half every day, but I would like 15 minutes, no problem. Yeah. And then that turns into 45, and I'm okay with that too. You know.
Right. So I'm thinking, you know, just do this regularly. I'm gonna release this because Zoom records audio specifically, so I'm going to release this as a podcast too. I think just doing this, and then like you should make a podcast, call it Lewis, you know what I mean? Hammer Sport, like, whatever.
Yep.
And then we just release all of our content on all of our channels.
So that's a question I have for you is, you know, I have a lot of channels and they all have different kind of things going on with them. Certain types of content, in my opinion, content should only be released on relevant channels.
Yeah.
You know, but I do personally, I make some content that is almost relevant to every channel. And then I make other types of content that are only relevant to this channel.
So for me, it's different because I'm going off of a personal brand.
Yeah.
I'm trying to brand myself as the guy who does this.
Yep.
But not all my content is marketing specific. So
yep.
It's a personal choice, man. But I think the most people who know what you're doing, even if they're not interested in it currently, maybe somebody they know is, and they already know you from here, so they trust you. And the way I think of it, literally as a network, like network mentality, and like trees making roots or whatever, like, or your brain like making new connections. Like the only way it makes the only way it parses a new connection is if there's an existing fucking connection right there. Like that connection needs to be made, and then the electrical signal is sent. So, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So like I think just having people in your network like makes it all good. Like I think it outweighs the irrelevance.
Okay.
Personally.
Yeah. No, I like that. I agree. Okay. Well, let's make a plan to talk tomorrow.
Yeah. So 3 o'clock work for you?
Probably not. Let me check. I'm pretty sure I'm doing that shooting tomorrow at noon. I'm pulling up my calendar right now, though. How is the audio when I talk nice and quiet like that? It is, huh? Okay. I get in that, like, you know, I get in that, like I notice when I'm in my car using the audio in the car, I shout a little bit more because the thing that's picking up my audio is not next to my mouth. Whereas when I have a cell phone, I talk to the cell phone and it's right here. So I talk a little quieter.
Well, a lot of these streaming devices have a volume like adjuster automatically.
Okay.
Let's do it like afternoon. I'm just.
Oh, okay. No, that's fine. My shoot is at 10 to noon. So anytime
that's great.
is fine.
So let's just stick with 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I put this as a reoccurring, so like for me, it just pops up.
Perfect. Well, I'll confirm that with you every day.
Yeah, man. The
prior day.
I think this is good. I'll start making like topics I want to cover. And
yeah,
like that.
Me too. Because I think what's really great about this is we both have a different point. We have education, different types of education, but we're focused on the same thing. But we have different points of view that's going to help us. If you can explain something to me, you're probably explaining something to a lot of other people at the same time.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why we're releasing this.
Yes. Do you, so I have just a YouTube channel right now that's just my name. And I will start another one.
Hammer Sport Marketing one.
I'm gonna, okay. All right. So I've got a couple things I got to work on and stuff, but I definitely like a copy of this down the road too to pop up as well. So
yes, so I'll send you a folder because I have a Google Drive. So I'll just store this in the Google Drive. Once it's done processing it, I'll send it to you later tonight.
Yeah, no rush.
All right, man.
Cool. And I'll be releasing a bunch of rally videos here too, because we're making those. I don't know if you checked out the rally video we made for Instagram, but it's kind of cool. I think it's some of our best videos because we're finally learning how to.
What's your Instagram?
Tell a story. My Instagram is @lugnutlouie, lug_nut_louie, LEWIE, and then @hammersport_racing.
Cool. Yeah, mine is @RileyDavid4Real. Pretty much on everything except for YouTube. Then it's just Riley David.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'll definitely check that out. I'll post it too.
Oh, thanks. I'm going to get you some more videos that are postable here that like mean something to us as well. So that was just a cool video. Little story about rally. So
I think this is gonna do. I think this is gonna do well because like for me, it's I'm able to get my ideas out there, but like my ideas aren't structured at all. You know what I mean? Like they don't come from anywhere, like from a book or anything like that. So yeah, it'll be good to say like, oh no, this is my idea.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, dude. I mean, this has been great for me personally. So I would love to share it with others, and if somebody can get a little ounce of value out of all this. Other than I'm getting a ton of value myself.
Dude, so somebody commented, digital entrepreneur, shout out to digital entrepreneur, commented that he has life insurance on YouTube.
Nice. Well, good job, Mr. Digital. So, all right, Riley, thanks for everything. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
Peace. Bye, everybody.